Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, we are going to continue solving this past paper. So the last time we had the tutorial video for this paper, we ended on question 20. So today we are starting from question 21. Okay. So question 28 from 2009 past paper, and the question 22, question 26 from 2022 past paper are almost the same. So you are going to see these two questions. You are going to see these two questions. They are nearly the same. Okay. Let us also look at this question 27 from 2001 past paper, and the question 26 from 2022 past paper GCE. These two questions are also almost the same. So you are going to see these questions. Okay. Without wasting time, let us start. Question 21. Question 21. The question reads: the diagram shows a section of the human brain. A diagram shows a section of the human brain. Which of the labeled parts is responsible for reasoning? So we have A, we have B, C, and D. Okay. So we need to understand that the cerebellum is the largest part of the brain, and it is responsible for memory and intelligence. It controls mental activities like thinking and reasoning. So our keyword here is reasoning. So we can see that the part of the brain that is responsible for reasoning is cerebellum. So we have in the reference picture here. So where is cerebellum? So cerebellum, this is the cerebellum, which is the largest part of the brain. So therefore, our correct answer on question 21 is A. Our correct answer is A. Okay, we move on to the next question, which is question 22. Question 22, the question reads: deafness can best be prevented by A. Cleaning ears regularly with the hard materials, B. Cleaning ears regularly with the soft materials, C. Listening to loud music regularly, D. Listening to soft music regularly. Okay, so the first step that we need to take here is to understand deafness. So what is deafness? Deafness, inability to hear something. Okay, so how can we prevent deafness? So we can prevent deafness by using soft material when uh, cleaning our ears. So as we can see, we have in the picture here depicting a person using a soft material to clean her hair. Okay, we would therefore say our correct answer is B. Okay, our correct answer is B. We move on to the next question. Which is question 23. Question 23, the question reads: which of the following correctly compares a ball and socket joint and hinge joint? So as we can see, the first column we have in ball and socket joint, the second column we have in hinge joint. So according to the answers given here, the answers we are given, they are talking about movement of these joints, or the kind of movements these two joints make. So we need to understand that ball and socket joint is found on the shoulder, and it is also called shoulder joint. Then the hinge joint is found on the help. It is also called um, hinge joint, or it is also called hinge joint. So, ball and socket joint is capable of making movements in all directions or in all axes, or it is capable of making movements in all dimensions. Then hinge joint only make movement in one plane or one direction or one dimension. This one makes movement in all directions. This one makes movement in all directions. So therefore, our correct answer is A. Ball and socket joint allows movement in all planes. Then hinge joint allows movement in one plane. So our correct answer is A. We move on to question 24. Question 24, the question reads, when light is switched on in a dark. So this is one of the question I was talking about. Okay, so this question came in 2022. This question is similar to one of the question that came in 2001, which is here. So this question came in 2001. Okay, so let us read question 24 from 2022 past paper GCE. The question reads, when light is switched on in a dark room where there are cockroaches and the cockroaches move away from light and quickly hide in dark places. This is an example of okay, so we are also having this question. This question is coming from 2001 paper 1. The diagram below shows a section through the apparatus used in an experiment to investigate the behavior of some small invertebrates, some behaviors of invertebrates. So here they are simply saying, so here they are simply saying 30 invertebrates were placed in the middle and subjected to light for 20 minutes. All the invertebrates were observed to have migrated to the dark corners to the dark corners. This response of vertebrates is an example of A. Positive phototropism, B. Negative phototropism, C. Positive phototaxis, D. Negative phototaxis. Okay, let us come back to question 24 from 2022 past paper. So when light is switched on in a dark room where there are cockroaches, the cockroaches move away from light and quickly hide in dark places. This is an example of, so since we are dealing with the animals here, by the way, cockroaches are animals. So the response offered by animals is called taxis. So the stimulus we are having in this case is light, and we are going to call it phototaxis. Okay, we are going to call it phototaxis. So the response of organism toward stimulus is called positive response. The response of organism away from stimulus is called negative response. So since the animals we have in here, they are moving away from the stimulus, which is light. We are told in the question that these cockroaches are moving away from light and hide in dark places. So which means this one is a negative response. And the stimulus we are talking about here is light. So we are going to call it negative phototaxis. So we have in the picture here trying to illustrate what we are talking about. So the movement of the animal towards the stimulus is called toward the stimulus, which is light, is called positive phototaxis. Then the movement of animal away from light is called negative phototaxis. So therefore, our correct answer here is C, which is negative phototaxis. So for phototropism, this is a response offered by a plant. Response offered by by the animal is called phototaxis. So therefore, our correct answer on question 24 is C. Let us also answer this question, which is coming from 2001. Okay, so we are also going to answer this question. We are also going to answer this question. So the diagram below shows a section through the apparatus used in an experiment to investigate the behavior of some small invertebrates. So we are told that the 20 vertebrates, after subjected to the light, they moved to the dark corners. So these animals are also responding negatively to light. So here also we are the stimulus we have in is light. And the response offered by animals, these animals, the invertebrate animals, is called taxis. So therefore, our correct answer here is D, which is negative for phototaxis. Negative phototaxis. So let me do this so that we can see. So this is our correct answer, which is D. Okay, without wasting much of our precious time, let us move on to the next question. We move on to the next question, which is question 25. Question 25, the question reads, the diagram shows a longitudinal section through a monocot seed. Which of the labeled parts is not present in a dicot seed? So this is a monocot seed according to the question. This is a monocot seed. So we have in the picture, a summarized picture here, trying to compare the dicot seed and monocot seed. So here we have in a dicot seed, here we have in the monocot seed. Okay, so uh, we can see that all parts are found on both seeds, dicots and monocots seed, except the endosperm. So endosperm part is only found in the monocot seed, as we can see, monocot seed. So therefore, we can see that the part that is representing monocot seed in this question is A. Therefore, our correct answer is A. Let us move on to the next question. We move on to the next question, which is question 26. So question 26 is similar to one of the questions that came uh, in 2009, paper 1. Okay, so let us read question 26. So this question is from this paper, which is 2022 paper 1 GCE. Question 26, the question reads, the diagram shows stages of asexual reproduction in a yeast. What type of asexual reproduction is illustrated in the diagram? A. Binary fission. B. Budding. C. Fragmentation. D. Spore formation. Let us also read this question. What type of asexual reproduction occurs in yeast? A. Budding. B. Binary fission. C. Uh, Regeneration. D. Grafting. So we can easily see that these two questions are talking about asexual reproduction occurs in yeast. Asexual reproduction occurs in yeast. So you are free to pause the video and take a look at these two questions, compare them, and you are going to find that these two questions are nearly the same. Okay, so let us answer the first question, which is question 26. Question 26. So the kind of asexual reproduction, or the type of asexual reproduction that is taking place in yeast. So this is budding. So as we can see, we have in the reference picture here. So we have in the sample of asexual reproduction by budding here, which is taking place in the yeast. Okay. So the type of reproduction taking place in yeast is called budding. So this is not binary fission. Reason being, we can see that we can easily see that the the daughter offspring produced, they are not identical. This one is bigger than this one. For binary fission, two identical daughters are produced. So therefore, our correct answer is budding. We answer this question also we answer this question also, which is coming from 2009. So this one also we are going to say our correct answer is A. So our correct answer here is A. Sorry, our correct answer is A. Let us move on to the next question. Move on to the next question, which is question. Move on to the next question, which is question 27. Question 27, the question reads, which of these plant parts can be used during vegetative reproduction? A, fruit, B, leaf, bud, C, ovary, D, seed. So here we have in the uh, here we have in the picture that will help us to answer this question. Which of these parts can be used during vegetative reproduction? So the parts that can be used during vegetative reproduction are leaf buds. So leaf buds are parts that can be used during vegetative reproduction. So as we can see, we have in the different picture here showing where leaf buds are located. So therefore, our correct answer is B. Our correct answer is B. We move on to the next question. We move on to the next question, which is question 28. Question 28, the question reads, the diagram shows a longitudinal section of a flower. So as we can see, we have been given the diagram and the diagram has been well labeled. Which parts will continue growing after fertilization has taken place? Which parts will continue growing after fertilization has taken place? A, 1 and 2, B, 1 and 3, C, 2 and 3, D, 3 and 4. So we have in the pictures here showing the parts of the flower. We have in the stigma, we have in the star, we have in ovule, we have in ovary, we have in anther. Okay, we are also having this one. We are also having this one labeled, and even functions are included. Function of the sigma, function of the anther, function of the star, function of the ovary, function of the filament. Okay, so the question is saying which parts will continue growing after fertilization has taken place. So the parts that will continue growing after fertilization has taken place are ovary and ovule. So ovary and ovules will continue growing after fertilization has taken place. So the parts we are simply talking about here are 3 and 4. Therefore, our correct answer is D. We move on to the next question, which is question 29. Question 29, the question reads, which of the methods of seed stroke fruit dispersal carries the seeds the shortest distance? A, animal, B, self, C, water, D, wind. So the method of seed dispersal, that does not throw seeds far away from itself or from the parent plant is self-dispersal. So as we can see, we have in the summarized picture of self-dispersal here. So we can see self-dispersal. The seeds are not thrown away from the parent plant. So the shortest distance covered by seeds splayed or thrown away by self-dispersal is short. So therefore, we are going to say our correct answer is self-dispersal. We move on to the next question. Which is question 30. Question 30, the question reads, the diagram shows the female reproductive system and its associated structures. Which labeled part identifies where implantation occurs? So implantation occurs on the uterus. Fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube. or oviduct. So implantation occurs on the uterus or on the womb. Okay. So therefore, our correct answer here is C, uterus. So fertilization takes place, implantation takes place on the uterus. We now shift to the next question, which is question 31. Question 31, the question reads, which of the following is not a cause of infertility in human beings? A, alcoholism, B, blocked oviduct, C, ovulation disorder, D, poor nutrition. So poor nutrition has nothing to do with the infertility. Alcoholism can cause infertility. Blocked oviduct can also cause infertility. Ovulation disorder can also cause infertility, but poor nutrition has nothing to do with infertility. So therefore, our correct answer here is poor nutrition. Our correct answer is poor nutrition, which is D. Okay, we move on to the next question, which is question 30. Move on to the next question, which is question 32. Question 32, the question reads, what method of birth control affects the normal functioning of hormones? So the method of birth control that affects the normal functioning of the normal functioning of hormones is contraceptive pills. So contraceptive pills disturb the normal functioning of hormones, disturbs the normal functioning of hormones. So okay, let me do this. So that okay. So our correct answer here is contraceptive pill. We move on to the next question, which is question 33. Question 33, the question reads, which stage of mitosis is illustrated? Which stage of mitosis is illustrated in the diagram? So the stage illustrated here is uh, 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 telophase. So this is telophase. So we have in interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase. So the state shown here is telophase. The next question, which is question 34. Question 34, the question reads, two individuals two individuals who had normal skin color had a child who was an albino. What is the probability that they will have another child who is albino? Okay, so we are told that two normal individuals have a child who is an albino. So, so it is obvious that these two parents are heterozygous dominant. So we are going to allow B to B to represent the color of the normal skin. So here we have in the genotype. Here we are having the genotype of a father. Here we are also having the genotype of a mother. So if we do crossings, so we are going to have an offspring. We are going to have an offspring with the normal color. If we cross this one and this one, we are also going to have an offspring with the normal color, but this one is a cardia. This one is a cardia. We cross this one and this one, we are also going to have an offspring with a normal color, with a normal skin color, but this one is also a cardia. If we cross this one and this one, we are going to have a child who is an albino, as we can see. We are going to have a child who is an albino. So 3 out of 4 offsprings are normal. Then 1 of the 4 is not normal. So we are going to say 1 over 4. We are going to get 0.25. We are going to get 0.25. So therefore, our correct answer here, our correct answer is A. Our correct answer is A. We move on to the next question, which is question 35. Question 35, the question reads, which of the following lists of organisms consists of only vertebrates? A. Amphibians, birds, fish, and protozoa. D. Arthropods, birds, reptiles, and mammals. C. Birds, fish, reptiles, and protozoa. D. Birds, reptiles, fish, and mammals. So we have in the picture here showing vertebrates. We have vertebrates, reptiles, birds, mammals. Okay. So our correct answer therefore is D. Birds, reptiles, fish, and mammals. We shift to the next question, which is question 36. Question 36, the question reads, an experiment was carried out to investigate the drainage of three different types of soil. Samples X, Y, and Z. Same amount of each type of soil was placed in a funnel, and the same volume of water was poured in the funnels. The experiment was allowed to stand for an hour. The diagram shows results of the experiment. Okay, so we can see that we having soil sample Y, X, and Z. So we can see that a huge volume of water has been collected after pouring water on the soil sample X, then followed by X, followed by Z. So before we answer this question, the question continues. The question is saying which of the following identifies the different types of soil samples? Which of the following identifies the different types of soil samples? So before we answer this question, we are going to look at the term porosity. So what is porosity? So porosity is the number of pore spaces within the soil, or we can say the number of spaces left uh, left in the within the soil, or left by particles of the soil, or we can say um, porosity uh, the ability uh, is the ability of soil particles allowing water to pass through it. Okay. So as we can see, we have in normal soil here. Normal soil, we can see some spaces. And we have in compacted soil. So compacted soil, as we can see, we can't see there are few spaces left. There are few spaces left here. There are few spaces left. So we have in sand soil, loam soil, and clay soil. So if we look at the sand soil, I've got a huge number of spaces within its particles. Hence, sand soil will allow a huge amount of water to pass through it, then followed by loam soil, followed by clay soil. So for clay soil I've got a small number of pore spaces left within its particles. Hence, it only allows a small volume of water to pass through it. Okay, so therefore our correct answer is C. X loam soil, Y sand soil, Z clay soil. Okay, we move on to the next question, which is question 37. Question 37, the question reads, the figure shows a food web in a given ecosystem. How many herbivores are there in this food web? How many herbivores are there in this food web? So food web are animals, or I mean herbivores are animals that feed on vegetables only. Carnivores are animals that feed on animals only. Animals that feed on animals only, or are animals that feed on flesh only. Then omnivores are animals that feed on both vegetables and animals. For example, we human beings, we are omnivores. Reason being, we feed on meats, we also feed on vegetables. Okay, so herbivores are animals that only eat plants. This can be flowers, fruits, nuts, grass, or even wood. So we have in examples of animals that feed on vegetables only here, and these animals are called herbivores. So we can see that rabbit is only feeding on cabbage. In this case, cabbage is our vegetable. Grasshopper is also only feeding on uh, vegetables. But if we look at animal is feeding on vegetables, it is also feeding on rabbit, it is also feeding on birds. So therefore, our correct answer is 2. We have in grasshopper and rabbit. These are only herbivores we have in this ecosystem or food web. Our correct answer therefore is 2. We move on to the next question, which is question 28. Question 28, the question reads, the following are factors that can cause a change in the human population except so A, disease, B, earthquakes, C, immigration, D, number of species. So number of species cannot affect the human population. So number of species is the number of living things in the ecosystem. Number of all living things in the ecosystem. Plants, animals, all living things in the ecosystem. So number of living things in the ecosystem cannot affect the human population. Okay, we shift to the next question, which is question 29. Question 29, the question reads, the diagram shows the carbon cycle. Which of the labeled processes removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere? Which of the labeled processes remove carbon dioxide from atmosphere? So the process that can remove carbon dioxide from atmosphere is here. So this is a process that can remove carbon dioxide from atmosphere, which is photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is the process that can remove carbon dioxide from atmosphere. So therefore, our correct answer is A. We move on to the next question, which is the last question in this paper, which is question 40. Question 40, the question reads, what is the negative effect of overuse of fertilizer in a farmland near a stream? A, acid rain formation, B, eutrophication, C, global warming, D, soil erosion. So our answer is eutrophication. So we can see that when fertilizer is thrown in the sea, it will cause eutrophication. So our correct answer is B. We now shift to the next past paper. Which is Biology Paper 2 GCE. Biology Paper 2 GCE. This is Paper 2. Okay. Answer all the questions in these spaces provided on the question paper. So be writing our answers on the spaces provided. Question 1, the question reads, Figure 1 shows cell division in animal cells. Cell division in animal cells. We have in a zygote, we have in AB, we have in muscle cell, new cell. Question 1A, Roman numeral 1, state the characteristic of all living organisms being demonstrated here. So we can see that initially we had zygote, here we have in cell A and cell B, here we have in 3 cells. So what is happening here? This is growth. This is growth. We have in an example of growth, zygote, 2 cell stages, 4 stages, 16 stages. So this picture is showing growth. Okay, so what is growth? Growth is an increase in the size of all living things. Okay, the continuous or the permanent increase. So therefore, our correct answer here is growth. We move on to the next question. We move on to the next question, which is question A, Roman numeral 2. Explain what what has happened to cell A. Explain what has happened to cell A. So here we have in cell A, here we have in muscle cell. So what has happened to cell A? So cell A has developed into specialized cell. So specialized cells, a specialized cell has its own function. So this function is subjected to this particular cell. So like the function of muscle cell is to provide or to produce movement by contraction. So it has its specific function. So we can see that cell A has developed into a specialized cell. So specialized cell has its own function. So it doesn't do gender function, but it has its own function. Okay, so we are going to say cell A has developed into a specialized cell. We move on to the next question, which is question B. Question B, the question reads, explain how the zygote in figure 1 can result into the formation of an organism through a cell division. So what will happen? So after cell division, a group of specialized cells is formed called tissues. So the group of specialized cells is called tissues. A group of tissues is called organ. When organs uh, when organs group together or when organs come together, they'll form a system. And when system come together, they'll form organism. So as we can see, according to the 3 marks given here, we have provided an answer that is equivalent to 3 marks. We move on to the next question, which is question 1C. Question 1C, the question reads, describe two life processes of living organisms and state the role of enzymes in the two processes. So the processes we are talking about, we are simply talking about catabolism and anabolism. So what is catabolism? So catabolism is the sequences of enzyme catalyzed reactions by which relatively large molecules in living cells are broken down and degraded. So in simple language, we are saying catabolism is the breaking down of complex molecules into simple ones. So as we can see, we have in a fat here, a complex fat, and this one is broken into simple molecules. As we can see, is broken into simple molecules. Let us also look at anabolism. Anabolism is the process by which the body utilizes the energy released by catabolism to synthesize complex molecules. So, simple molecules are combined to form a complex molecules through the process of anabolism or catabolic uh, reaction. Okay, so therefore, we are going to say anabolism is the building of complex molecules from simple molecules. For example, protein synthesis. Protein synthesis. Okay. Then catabolism, we are going to say catabolism is the breaking down of complex molecules into simple molecules. For example, breaking down of glucose. Breaking down of glucose to form in order to produce energy, or breaking down of glucose so that the energy can be released and so that energy, carbon dioxide, and water can be produced. Okay, so as we can see, we have successfully answered the first question. Now let us move on to the next question, which is question 2. Question 2, the question reads, figure 2 shows the transverse section of a leaf. Question 2a, Roman numeral 1, identify tissue X and tissue X, Y, and Y. So we are going to make use of this picture here to answer our question. So as we can see, we have in the first part cuticle, epidermis, palisade mesophyll, then lower epidermis, sponge mesophyll, and stomata. So we are going to make use of this diagram to answer this question. So X, this is upper epidermis. Y, this is palisade mesophyll. Q, this is phloem tissue. We move on to the next question. Q is a phloem tissue, just in case you haven't seen. We move on to the next question, which is question A, Roman numeral 2. Tissue X and Y were tested for starch. Which of the two tissues would show the presence of higher concentration of starch? So the one that will show the higher concentration of starch is Y, which is palisade cells of uh, uh, palisade mesophyll. Give the reason. Here is the reason. Palisade mesophyll tissue cells contain a good number of chloroplasts, and we know that chloroplasts are responsible for, or chloroplasts spearhead the process of photosynthesis. So the process of photosynthesis takes place in the chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is found in the chloroplast. Okay, we move on to the next question, which is question 1b, Roman numeral 1. Name the cell labeled R. Name the cell labeled R. So R is here. So the cell labeled R. So this one is a guard cell. This one is a guard cell, which is here. This one is a guard cell. Okay, so cell R. This one is a guard cell. We move on to question 2b, Roman numeral 2. Which features does cell R have in common with the tissue X, Y that enables it with the tissue X and Y that enables it to perform its function? So the part that is common in cell R, X, and Y is vacuole. So vacuole is common in these. Vacuole is common in these three cells. So we can say that we can see that upper epidermis doesn't have chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are found in the palisade cell and guard cell. But we can see that vacuole is common in palisade cell, guard cells, and epidermis. We move on to the next question, which is the last question, which is the last part of question 2. Question 2b, Roman numeral 3. Which feature does cell? Oh, we have answered this question. We are done with this question. Let us move on to the next question, which is question 3. Question 3, the question leads figure 3 represents bones of a forelimb. Question 3a, which letters correspond to the following structures? So we have in structures humerus. We can see humerus, where humerus is located. We can see legus. We can see ulna. Now let us answer this question. H, legus is being represented by H. Ulna is being represented by K. Humerus is being represented by I. We move on to the next question, which is question B, Roman numeral 1. Identify the type of joint found at J. So the type of joint found between humerus and ulna is hinge joint. So the type of joint found between humerus and ulna is hinge joint. So our correct answer is hinge joint. Give the reason. So the reason that we are going to give, like the question we answered from 2022 paper 1, we know that hinge joint is capable of making movement in one axis or in one plane or in one dimension. So hinge joint allows movement in one dimension. We move on to the next question, which is question 3c. Name 2 disorder of the joint J. So disorder number 1, arthritis. Arthritis. So the hand of someone who is suffering from arthritis will look like this. Then another disorder is dislocation. Dislocation. So as you can see, we have in the picture here showing dislocation. So therefore, we are going to say number 1, dislocation. Number 2, arthritis. Okay, the next question, which is the question 3D, explain why a bone is considered to be a living tissue. So a bone is considered to be a living tissue. Reason being, a bone has got blood vessels, and we know that blood vessels blood transports oxygen and nutrients, and the bone have got cells, and we know that cells divide. So by dividing, they are capable of the growing, they are capable of repairing. So here is our answer. Bones are living tissue which have their own blood vessels and are capable of various cells, proteins, minerals, and vitamins. These structures enables them to grow, transform, and repair themselves through life. So in this video, we are going to end on question 3. We'll continue.